Hello, my name is Arthur. In the last video we did a little bit of fixing for some problems that were in the search text function. And in this video I've discovered another little bit of an issue. It's nothing big, but it's something that doesn't need to be happening, so we're going to fix that. And then we're going to go on with the buttons. So, well, we're going to start getting more of the search bar functioning, basically. So we'll get to that. First off, we'll look at the issue. So the issue is we're going to do a search by selection. So we make a selection, the search ends up here, they're highlighted, except it's went through the search text function twice. Now we don't need it to do that. Yeah, the fix for that is very simple. When I did the search function that initializes the search bar to grab the text, we put this function in here, the function call for search text, and then later on put in the signal for text inserted so that it could tell when text was being typed into the search bar. So what's happening is the text is being inserted from the selection, calling that function as immediately as the text is inserted, and then it's calling the function a second time. So we'll just comment this out, and I'm not going to erase it yet in case this causes an issue that I haven't observed. So we'll check if this works and stops the dual function call, and we'll leave it commented out just as a reminder that I changed that in case some issue that I haven't observed yet surfaces. So we'll load up our test document. We'll do the same search by selection, and now we only get one run through the search text function. So that seems to fix that issue. Now what we want to look at here is how the search function works for this software. So let's do a search. We're going to turn off this. We'll close the search bar, and we'll do that search and see what happens. Okay. So that's a little bit of inconsistent behavior that I'm getting here. So we'll put that onto whole word. There it is. So when we do the search, this one, when we open and close the bar, it doesn't repeat the search, whereas on my, it does. So what it's done here is we've searched whole word that only has 3 results in the script, the same as the sample script, and would happen in most scripts because GTK is never really a word that's all by itself except for in the include. And up here in my commented out, that's my compiling statement. So that's a statement that I would copy into here if the arrow keys for some reason weren't doing it. So what it's done here is it's scrolled up to the first result, and it's highlighted the first result differently, and it's taken focus off of this window. Like if I was to press delete, nothing's going to happen because the focus isn't on the window. Now I'm not sure exactly where the focus is right now, and that one has me a little bit confused as to where the focus is if it's not on the window, not on the text view. So we'll look into that. What it's done to highlight the text though is simply select it. So that's just selected to highlight it in that fashion. So if we go next, it's just selecting the next one. So the focus is taken out of the text view so that to avoid accidental deletions. So it's kind of a way of highlighting it using selection, but relieving some of the possible consequences to that, because we can't really do anything in the window until we click onto it to grab focus in it, and then the selection disappears. So that works pretty good, and that's the behavior we're going to try to mimic. I'm not sure on the focus part though. So we have to send, I'm not sure if we can just remove focus from the window or if we have to send it to something else. So that's the part I'm not exactly clear on. So we're not going to be able to get the two buttons working. So let's just remove the search phrase from here. We have the two buttons in the same in my example. So my knockoff of this software. We won't be able to get the buttons. What I'm aiming to do is to get the search result to be selected like that for the view to scroll up to the selection in the same fashion, and to select the selection in the same fashion, and to move focus so that we don't introduce a scenario where there's an accidental deletion. So let's see, I'm going to put that function right into here. It will have a void return. We'll call it highlight result. It will receive two values because we're going to use it for both the button and when the search text function has completed a search. So the first one will be an int we'll call count. That's the name of the variable that's counting how many instances of results happened in the search text function. And then we'll call the second one an integer for direction. So we're going to need a static variable. Whoops. So we'll make a static int that we'll call limit. And limit will hold the value of count. And it'll be limit because that will work with the next and previous button. So what we need is a way to initialize limit only when we want to. So the idea that I've come up with is when search text comes up with a 0, it's going to pass a -1. So it'll pass a -1 off as a 0. And that way when the button calls to set a direction, the button can always pass a 0. So it'll pass a 0 for count and then a direction. And anytime the function is called because a search is just completed and it needs to initialize the count, if the result was 0, it'll pass a -1, or it'll pass a number that's greater than 0. So what we'll do with that idea is if count is greater than 0, or count equals -1, or we could use less than 0, but we'll be specific here so that the value that we're passing here on purpose will be obvious. Then we'll go if count equals -1, then limit will equal 0. Else limit will equal count. And we can close that up. So that would be here. Let's see, yep. So that initializes count. We may need another static variable here. I'm not really sure yet. It depends on the behavior of the itters. I'm not sure how an iter is going to act if we go backwards and we're at the end of the file. So we might have to keep an index to know when to send the iters to the other side of the document. I'm not really sure on that one yet. I haven't gotten that far. So we initialize count. So what we'd want to do here is we want to handle, we're clicking on the direction buttons and these ones are disabled, but yeah, I'm not that advanced where I'm enabling and disabling buttons like that. So instead what I'm going to do is, in the event that we're clicking on buttons with no result, it's just going to kick it out. So at this point we'll go if limit, and we should put that in the bracket like it should be, if limit equals 0. And we'll just one line this one, return. So that'll kick it out. We don't really need an else here. What we need here is an if direction equals 0. So if direction equals 0, that means the function has been called from the search result from the search text function. So this is where we would initialize our iters. Now let's give ourselves some iters. GTK, whoops, that's not right. Text iter, and that's not right. We'll call it T start and T end. And iters, we don't want to take the chance of moving start and end around from the other function, so we're going to make distinct iters for this particular purpose. So if direction equals 0, what we want to do is initialize our iter. So we want to initialize our start iter. So let's go and borrow that from right here. Copy. In order for that to work, we're going to have to grab a page number. So let's put that here. Int page equals current tab. So we have a page index for where we are. So we have our start iter where we want it. Maybe this does need an else. So else, and we're just going to put a comment here. Figure out how to change focus, because I don't know how to do that exactly yet. So that's something I have to figure out, how to get the focus out of the text view, because at this point we're going to want the focus to exit the text view. I think that's the point that we're going to want it at, and that I might need to change. So the next thing we need is some documentation. So what we're going to do is we're going to use text editor forward to tag toggle. So we'll go GTK text editor. So GTK text editor forward to tag toggle. We have to change this to T-start. We'll use T-start. Comma, the tag is search tag. So that will send start to from the start of the text view document to the beginning of the first result. So from there, we're going to initialize tEnd at start. And we'll fix this typo here. And we'll copy this. Copy. So this is just initializing still. So this is all stuff that happens only when count came through with a value that was greater than 0 and or equal to -1. And if it was equal to -1, it gets kicked out. So it's only, this is all stuff that only happens one time, and it sets the tag, it sets the itters in motion. And I'm pretty sure the itters will stay where they're at. So we'll change this to tEnd. So what happens here is we initialize start iter. We send it to the beginning of the first result. Then we initialize end iter at that position. We send it to the next tag toggle, which is the end of that result. So now the iters will be at the front and the end of the first search result. From there, we want to scroll to iter. So scroll to iter, that's pretty bulky, but we're going to simplify it. If somebody tries to use this, it's good to read the documentation. It says here, to avoid oddness, consider using scroll to mark. Well, I don't know how to do marks yet. So we're going to use scroll to iter because there's an iter where we want it. And hopefully the oddness is something that happens in more sophisticated situations. So hopefully this one works without oddness. So we'll go GTK text view. Whoops, that's not a capital. View scroll to iter. So we have to go GTK text view for this one, and I don't know why. Because when we do it to the buffer, we're not going to have to do it there, but for some reason we have to do it here. So that would be book at page dot view, comma, iter. So we'll use end t start, comma, and this line is going to start getting long. So the next one is within margin. So we're just going to go comma 0, comma, use a line. We're going to put false. Comma, now we shouldn't need values here, so we're going to go 0, comma 0, only for lack of knowing what else to do. Yeah, for the extensive documentation that GTK has, sometimes it could use a few more examples. Because, yeah, not a lot of this has much meaning if you don't know what it's supposed to mean. So that should get our view to move. So at this point, we're actually at a point where we've written enough code that we should be able to see a result from a search. So it's probably best to debug and get things working up to here for now. Okay, there's a bunch of stuff here that's... One of those is resulting from this. So we're going to put this in to thin that down a little bit. Okay. GTK TextView passed 7 arguments. Okay, so that is scroll to iter TextView. We didn't put a bracket here. So we'll see how much of that actually simply stemmed from that. Okay, highlight result, expected expression before token. Okay, we put one too many commas in there. That kind of reads a mess, but oh, we can't just change it and not save it. Okay, that's compiled. So we'll open our test document quickly. We'll scroll down. We'll do our typical GTK highlight search. We'll do that, and we didn't get a result. That scrolled. So that was supposed to scroll up. Oh, I know why that is. We didn't make a function call. So we have to make a function call from search text. So that should have been obvious. So that would be down here. We're going to go if count equals 0. Tab, we make this function call highlight result -1 to tell it to initialize to 0, and a 0 to tell it the function call is coming from the search. Else, tab, paste, we'll send it count and 0. So that should handle a scenario with both no result from count or count having a value. So let's just move down that print statement so it's not confusing. Okay, we got to put in our semicolons so we don't have to compile this 6 times to get that straight. Okay, that compiled. Now we should get a result from it. So open up our test document, scroll down a little bit, select, and search. And we scrolled up to the top. So that's the behavior we're looking for off the get-go. So we have the scroll behavior in. We don't have a way to change focus yet, but we'll figure that one out too. So the next thing we want to do is in the documentation, text buffer. So we're going to use text buffer select range. So this is how we'll select that first result. So that's GTK text buffer select range. For some reason we don't have to do the large print GTK text buffer here. And yeah, I'm still baffled as to why in one place we need to and in another place we don't need to. Dot buff, comma, and T start, comma, and T end. So that should do the selection. Let's see. We'll just quickly look at GTK TextView documentation, because maybe we can just kick focus off of it without having to grab focus to somewhere else. Oh, I don't see the word focus at all. So that might not be something we can do here. Cursor visible. No, that's not it. GTK widget. When we grab focus on a widget, it's done here. This is going to be a long list, so we're just trying to see something that says focus. Maybe we can set focus. All I know is grab focus. Yeah, I don't get focus on click. Let's see what that means. Returns whether the widget should grab focus when it's clicked with the mouse. Nope, that's not what we're looking for. Has focus. Let's open that in a new tab so it doesn't go all over the place. Determines if the widget has focus. So that doesn't help us. Has focus. Set can focus. Set focus on click. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know why it's grabbing like that. Child focus. So our TextView doesn't have a child, so that won't help. Yeah, about the best I can come up with is maybe turning one of the buttons global and just grabbing focus to the button. So let's just do that as a temporary fix. So we'll come down to the actual search bar. So let's find search bar, open file. It's just down here somewhere. So we make the search bar. So let's see. So let's go like this. We're going to copy this out. Copy. And then we'll make next global. And then we'll just throw focus at it. Yeah, I'm ending up with a lot of things that are global, and that's probably not the way that it should be. But I don't really have another answer for that. So here we'll go GTK widget grab focus GTK widget next, and we'll see if that does what we want it to do, and hopefully that gets us where we want to be in the shortest way we can get there. So we'll try compiling that, see if we get too many mistakes. Grab focus. Okay, where did I put that? Not enough brackets for that. There we go. So hopefully that's the only problem. Okay, that compiles. We'll open our test document. We'll scroll down. We'll do our typical search. And now we just want to try to delete. So we've moved the focus. The focus is right here, and you can actually see the dotted line around next. So the buttons don't do anything, but we got it to scroll, and we got it to highlight the first result. So we'll repeat the thing with being specific with words. So it doesn't move or scroll anywhere else. And in the next video, we'll come back and we'll figure out getting the buttons working also. And yeah, we'll see how focus works then. That's the quickest solution I could come up with to switch focus in a direction that would end up with the result we want, which is where the focus is not here, and to get the focus here, the selection would be disappeared, and we wouldn't have to be concerned with accidental deletions. So that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful to somebody, and take care.